This podcast is brought to you by Giant Food. And today, more than ever, they are committed to you because we are all in this together so we can continue to share the little things that matter.
Recorded live from the lobby of the Line Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C. Full Service Radio is proudly supported and hosted by Simplecast, the easiest way for a podcast creator to publish and distribute audio on the internet. For more information, visit simplecast.com.
Peace, everyone, and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Line, D.C. This podcast is where dynamic people of color in the food and agriculture space share their personal food journeys, passions, and perspectives that stem from the land, all exemplifying the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started. Peace and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting here on Full Service Radio. So for today's show, we are talking garden to cocktail with the lovely and spirited Chrissy Sheffey, who is the owner and lead mixologist of Charismatic Creations, a mobile and now virtual bartending service that brings the ultimate experience with handcrafted cocktails with an emphasis on using real ingredients locally grown. Welcome to Edible Actors, Chrissy. I am so elated to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. And today I feel great. Yesterday was my birthday and it was amazing.
Oh my gosh, happy birthday!
Thank you so much. I feel very grateful, alive, and I'm just ready to be on the show, the radio. I'm just super excited. I know we've talked about this and I'm just ready to talk to you about my business. And I've been following you for a while, so I'm really excited.
Oh, Chrissy has such an amazing spirit. I've told you that before. I've seen you twice in person and I barely know you, but I do know you. And I'm just like, Chrissy, like your spirit really does shine. And when someone's spirit shines, I have to let them know because it's not something that you see all the time. And so you see it, yes, you know, there are a lot of things you see on Instagram and people, you know, showing off their awesome products and services. And, but you know what, personality is such a great thing, but just meeting you in person, I'm like, yo, like your spirit. And also you're related to, Gus.
Yes, Charles.
Yes. I remember you saying that's your cousin from Martha's Table. I interviewed him and I said, no wonder. I said, because another amazing dude. So amazing. Okay. So Chrissy, Charismatic Creations, right, is a mobile bartending service and you've been in the hospitality industry for the last 7 years or so.
Yes.
Right now, as a hospitality professional, you, along with all the other hospitality workers in this space, have seen a lot change within a matter of days, like quickly. And when I say days, I'm going back to like 3 or 4 weeks ago before everything just took a turn. So, you know, again, I asked you earlier, how are you doing? But also just being in this space, you know, I have to ask, like, how are you dealing in the midst of all of this?
Every day I try to, for one, I just take it day to day because all the information that we are receiving is day to day. So I try to just consume it on a daily basis instead of it being from, I think it was like March 11th to now and from now to May 15th. Like I just try to take things daily. So I don't get too anxious and nervous and sad about my business and all these things because it can be very consuming. But it's really tough right now for hospitality professionals, restaurant owners, cocktail curator businesses. It's really tough because we rely on the interactions with people in order for us to creatively flow, money, and now that interaction has been completely taken away from us. So it's really time for us to figure out how to interact with people via the internet and still be our authentic selves and still have allow people to be able to taste things mentally in a way. So
Mm.
storytelling is really big now. It's always been really big, but now it's going to shine more than ever.
And you know what? So, first of all, I can use a cocktail. I think we can all use a cocktail in the midst of everything. And you're so right. Storytelling is everything. And I think the content, what we're seeing now, I mean, the content was already overload on social media, but it's definitely going to be beefed up even more. And so I love with you and all the other, there are hosts of other hospitality professionals, have been really, taking their product and services to a whole nother level and really creating these like really awesome interactive experiences for us that we can still savor, right? Quote unquote,
Yes.
mentally, and salivating over. And I love how you've and I feel like you've always been, interactive with
Yeah.
your audience and your followers. So this isn't necessarily it isn't anything that's too new. Like you've always done that. But I think even more so now because all of our eyes are on social media and Instagram. I love what you've been doing. I love that you set up shop in your kitchen. You like, listen, I'm not going to beat this face today. Like this is your true, like authentic, like beautiful self and
Oh,
just really
thank
just showcasing your product like you always do. And I think that connection is definitely so important in addition to the in-person connection. So this is what we're going to do. Let's touch on the beginnings of Charismatic Creations just a bit so we can let the audience, just learn a little bit about your background to entrepreneurship and how you've lifted this off the ground. And, I also don't want to, put a damper on any of these conversations in the midst of COVID-19, because like I said, this podcast brings joy and we want to bring joy and
you.
shine light on, the amazing things that everyone is doing. So let's talk about the beginnings of your business and fusing all of your passions from crafting cocktails. I know gardening is a passion of yours and,
Yes.
food justice is something that is definitely that you hold, at your heart and something that you're so sensitive to. So let's just talk about the beginnings and fusing, I can talk today, all your passions together.
Yes. So, um, Charismatic Creations was birthed out of the idea that it was time for me to be in charge of my income. While I was
Hello. Hello.
hello,
I'm sorry. I had to just interject. Hello. That wasn't bold. Okay.
it's
Go
really
on.
important. I wanted to take everything that I learned and be in charge of it. So I started bartending in Washington, D.C. while I was attending the University of Maryland College Park. And I want to say it was literally a week after my 21st birthday. And I was a cocktail server, and then they needed a bartender at McCormick and Schmick. So they said, Chrissy, can you jump in? You're old enough now. Let's go. So that's how I started bartending. I fell into it, and it was great foundation. McCormick and Schmick's, everything started off from a lemon, lime, grapefruit, or orange, right? So I have great foundation. And then, there's turnover in the hospitality industry. So I went from McCormick and Schmick's to Ben's Next Door. I was at MGM, Circa DuPont for a while. So I have like great experiences with corporate and small business restaurants. And then after a while, I finally understood that being in these settings, I would have to do things exactly how they wanted to do them. Whether it was creating an event, it had to be done structurally or go from several people in order for it to be approved. And that's also like adding a cocktail to the menu. It had to make sense for a few people, even though creatives are behind the bar. So I was just like, it's just time for me to take everything that I've learned and bring these joys into people's homes and bring these joys back into my life, because at one point bartending wasn't it wasn't as fun because of the kind of structures that were behind the bar. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just time for me to take all the joy and charisma that I have and just bring it to people's weddings and corporate businesses. So Charismatic Creations started officially January 2017.
Wow.
And it's just everything that I never thought it would be. And I'm so excited. It had to be garden to cocktail because I grew up with a garden. Me and my dad had a garden. So it was important that I made sure that everything was natural. It had to be gardens that were in DC and the Maryland area, mostly DC, because I'm very passionate about food deserts and urban gardening. My major at University of Maryland was public policy with a concentration in African American studies. So we focused on how these like disproportionate um, things within urban areas hurt Black people and health.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another passion of mine. So everything has just turned into, it's infused into a business that I really, really adore. I adore Charismatic Creations, and both of my parents are entrepreneurs. So it's just destined. Like everything that's happening is just already been for me, and I'm just walking in it.
I love that so much. And you know what, now that I think about it, and I knew this before, Charismatic Creations, charisma, like that is definitely what you have. Okay. I'm sorry for the folks who are listening. If you haven't met Chrissy in person, a disservice. Okay. Because she has charisma and that spirit. Oh my gosh. It is amazing. It is so fitting. You have such a personality. You have such the
Thank you so
personality for,
much.
you really do. You really do. And, my next question was going to be, just really like describe the brand and the experience that you bring to your guests, because it's more, and trust me, I've been at some places and some functions with some
Yeah,
mobile bartending services that ain't the same.
I've heard some things. I've heard
I'm
some
like, what is this? Uncle Joe done pulled out the raggedy table and set a bottle of Crevassier. It's like, good, no.
things.
Not
Somebody,
that I'm comparing your brand to them at all, but you know what I mean. You know how we roll.
yes. So one thing that I've had to learn is that my beliefs and what I value have to come first. And when they come first, that's when my creative juices are able to flow. When it's about the money, I'm not producing my best cocktails or have actually the best attitude or want to do what I'm doing. It's about me being able to creatively flow. And if it's about, oh, it's quarantine, I've never bottled like cocktail pouches or jars. I've never done that. So I'm not going to do that now for quarantine because that's not something I believe in.
Right, right, right.
Yes, the money will be quick, but it's not aligned with how I feel. So that's not going to be the first thing I think about. What I'm thinking about now is that, yes, I've been selling these premium infusion non-alcoholic cocktail mixes for 2 years now. But now it's more important for me to push them more because I want people to have a healthier cocktail mix option. The cocktail mixes at the store have preservatives in them. So yes, I can shoot out an ingredient list for you to go to the grocery store to grab something real quick. But is that serving you on a healthier side? And I'm not a big health buff, but I am like very into, if you're going to enjoy a cocktail, let it be a great tasting cocktail. So it's important for me to be like, it has to be from garden to cocktail. If it's not, then I'm not going to sell it to you because that's just not something that I believe in. And oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
And as far as like services for events, one of my biggest things is providing people with a cocktail experience that you'll cherish forever. Um, it's not about, yes, people will be inebriated Yes, I don't want it to be. Yes, I don't want you to spend tons and tons of money, but with the professionalism and the mixology that me and my team will show you, it'll be worthwhile. And I just think it's important for Black people to learn about the spirits that they're drinking and for it not to be intimidating. What I'm learning is that, and also being in these spaces, once you get to a certain level of mixology or being a sommelier, is some arrogance there and it's not
Mm.
welcoming. And I want like I serve everyone, but I want the people who look like me not to just like enjoy an aesthetically pleasing, well balanced cocktail, but to learn about what they're drinking. And for me not to be arrogant telling them what they're drinking. Those are my biggest things. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. And you know what's so interesting? Like, there's so much history. There's so much Black history
So much Black
within
history.
this in the spirits industry alone that I just learned about not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
on a more detailed level.
Yes.
And and trust me, no one's shooting down the Cirocs of the world and
No,
like the
never, right?
Courvoisiers of the world, but we are, as Black people, we are only associated with certain brands of alcohols and drinks. And it's beyond those brands. It's the crafted, it is the crafted cocktail, and we can associate ourselves with other types of drinks. And I think that's real. I think that's so important for you to bring that up, because we do not know. And the other thing and there's so much I could just pull from what you just said, Chrissy. I'm over here just like waving my hand in the air, like amen, amen, sister. I don't even know that much. Like, amen, sister. Like, and you care about, and you mentioned not being like a health, like you don't push like the health thing. And I get you on that, but you are a person who cares about real ingredients and what you're drinking, and people underestimate
Yes.
like a well-crafted beverage with real ingredients. I'm like, how can you guys not enjoy this?
Exactly. And I know, people just don't have the time to like juice and all these things. So my bottles do it for you, and it's an automatic signature cocktail. And once I get people to buy into it, it's going to soar. But I understand that it's going to take people some time because grabbing just a cranberry juice or a daiquiri mixer is easier, and I'm okay with that. But I just know that once they start appreciating it, the bottles will continue to fly. Like they'll continue to fly off my website. I know for sure. And that's why after 2 years, even with low sales on the bottles, I continue to do it because I believe in it. And even though it's like a subsidiary side for my business, because the services are number one, I just
Right.
want people to be able to have something Charismatic Creations in their home that was made from love when they
Hmm.
are ready to enjoy a cocktail or mocktail, because mocktails need love too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mocktails do need, for my non-alcohol drinker, mocktails, that's the thing. That's the thing. Okay. You're listening to Perfect Day, produced by Artists Authentic. For more of Authentic's work, visit allornothingstudios.com. This podcast is brought to you by Giant Food. Whether you are concerned about diabetes, heart health, losing weight, or just want to improve family meal times, Giant has a team of nutritionists ready to help you make the best decisions to meet your health and wellness goals. You can check out their personalized consultations online or by phone. Just go to giantfood.com/nutrition, or they have nutritionists who are available to answer any of your questions at nutrition@giantfood.com. With that said, I definitely want to segue into, why do you think there is such a disconnect between, you know, the agricultural, real food, you know, real ingredient side of things to with the hospitality industry, because
Yes.
there's a gap. There is not a connection. And I know, and not for everyone there, we definitely have like some dope chefs, you know, and amazing people like you, Chrissy, who have made that connection, but it's not all the way there. So, you know, I'm not asking for like a direct answer, but just really just getting your perspective on why you think that is, because hell, like if y'all haven't had a margarita with fresh squeezed limes, like
Oh
all
my
lime
goodness.
juice, oh
It
my
is
gosh, it would change
missing
your life.
missing out. Let me tell you, missing out. But I think the disconnect is, there's definitely two disconnects that I think are definitely there. One, um, people aren't very, the people who are opening restaurants, some of them aren't connected to the communities and areas in which they are opening these restaurants. So
Mm.
if I'm opening a restaurant in Northeast, let me think about the local gardens and farms that are in Northeast or in DC that I can partnership with in order to get all of my fruits and herbs, and even interior designing with plants for my restaurant. So when you're not connected to the community, you don't look within the community to get the resources that you need. I think that's a big disconnect.
Wow, that's so true.
And two, patience. If you have a bustling restaurant or bar and you need tons and tons of produce or meat and stuff like that, you would need bulks and bulks, and you would go to the bigger farms, out of state industries to get these things,
Hmm.
because you need them right now, because you have to prep all of these things. I need my shipment every week or every bi-weekly, whatever. And smaller farms, gardens have they just don't have that inventory all the time. So, and then, you know, with smaller gardens and farms, it takes patience and nurturing in order for them to get all of the orders fulfilled and things like that. So it's patience and the connection to the community, I think, is the biggest disconnect. And how we connect back is researching. There are local farms and gardens, Black owned, brown owned, in this area that could really be resourceful for this pickup of the gentrification within, like, all these restaurant owners moving into the city and plopping a restaurant or bar or distillery. They just need to connect. They're there. The resources are there. The farms and gardens are here, but they have to do the research and want to pour back into the community in which they've built their bar in.
Such a good point. Such a good point. And it reminds me about the conversation that I had with Sinata from Calabash Tea, Dr. Sinata. Sorry if I'm bashing up her name. Dr. Sunny. I call her Dr. Sunny. And, you know, we talked about the second location that she had opened in Brooklyn. And I had mentioned, like, she has all these herbs outside of her location, right?
Uh-huh.
And she has some like herb boxes, and she tapped into the community. She worked with the school with like kids to have them to create those herb gardens or those herb boxes, so that, you know, the kids can come and just see, like, yo, like, we were a part of this. You know, like, in Brooklyn was a part of that, being tapped into the community and, like you said, wanting to do it. And so I definitely think that's such a good point that you brought up, because, you know, you have to you have to want to be connected to the community. You have to. And we have a lot of major chains who are coming into the city, and not even just the city, they're coming into the suburbs now.
Yeah.
And you don't have that community connection, and you will forever be disconnected, you know, and you're right. You're so right. Like, how can you plug into the local farm around the corner? How can you plug into a 3-part harmony or into a dreaming out loud? You know, how can you plug into those farms if A, you're not willing to do the work, B, you don't have any type of relationship with those just around you, and everything is just about the big dollar,
Yes.
And everything is just about industrial farm, like where, and you're right. In the smaller farms, they are, it's about capacity. But it's not something that's far fetched. It's not something that cannot happen. So I think those are two awesome, awesome, awesome points. Thank you so much. And what I wanted to say to you earlier too, going back to the cocktails and doing the virtual, your whole, I love all your videos. If anything, you are also encouraging us or beefing our own selves up that we too can craft a cocktail
Yes,
over
I
here,
love
like
it.
shaking and stuff like that. Like that's encouraged. Like it's like Chrissy about to have us all over here pretending like we little little bartenders. You know us, we get to shaking like what y'all want. You want some salt in that rim. Like
Now that you did the rim.
that run,
You're
that's like my favorite. That's like my favorite Nicki Minaj lyric.
listen, that's one of my favorite verses. Bring our girl back. I miss her.
Yes, I miss Nikki. Y'all stop going on Nikki. Y'all stop going on Nikki. But anyway, I definitely want to point that out. But okay, so speaking of virtual cocktails, I feel like the response, I love to see how excited folks get, like all up in your comments, as I'm like, I be stalking and I'd be like, yo, like Chrissy is doing like the dopest cocktails. And you're so like, I don't know, because this is your thing. It's just like, and then you prep your stuff, and then you do this, and and I'm just like, wow, it's just so amazing. So I just love to see people get excited and feel encouraged that they can do these cocktails. And again, this is our virtual experience. But so today's Earth Day, right? And
Yes.
so Inquire Minds just wants to know, do you have like, is there a Earth Day like cocktail that we can like whip up today? Like something in mind? I know I just kind of threw you in a spot, but I thought about this earlier today. I was like, I wonder, does Chrissy have an Earth Day cocktail up her sleeve?
I actually don't have an Earth Day cocktail, but up my sleeve for today. But on just thinking really quickly, I would love to see a Earth Day mojito or a
Oh,
Earth Day kind of Moscow mule or an Earth Day particularly with like tequila. So the reason why I'm thinking these is because I'm thinking about the ingredients that would go into these cocktails that would come from the earth. So specifically a mojito, the rum, sugarcane, the mint, the herbs that would come into crafting that cocktail, or with a margarita, the agave that goes into the tequila that came from the earth, and
mm.
the lime. So, yes, definitely a cocktail that is centered on ingredients that are grown from the earth specifically in order to just craft something that tastes good. I would
Yeah.
definitely go for like a mojito or a margarita. And if I were to do like a Moscow Mule, definitely a vodka that has like potato or corn, something from the earth specifically. That's the main ingredient that I can think about to go into that cocktail.
A potato in a cocktail? Is that a thing?
No, but there are some potato vodkas or
Oh, potato
corn
vodka.
vodkas
Wow. Oh my gosh.
that I would think about that was the center for them fermenting and distilling that spirit in order for me to enjoy it. So
Wow,
yeah,
see, I'm the ignorant one over here. I'm like, potato in the cocktail. Okay. A potato. Wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
I would probably definitely just I would probably do a mojito today.
Oh my
Or
gosh, mojito sounds so great. And I want my mojito jam with mint. Don't be light on the mint. I want the
oh, you don't
entire
like
thing
it light?
jam. Nope, nope. I'd be like, take it back. If this mojito is not jam with mint, it's not a thing.
Oh my god, I can smell that right now. Oh my god.
And I want the sugar cane stick like right in there. Like it needs to be complete, or else send it back. I don't play. Well, Chrissy, tell me this. What has entrepreneurship taught you about yourself, and, and how you've applied some of these principles, and models just to like your everyday life, but also in addition to that, you know, I know that you have a team that works with you as well.
Yeah.
Cause you know, teamwork makes the dream work. And that's not, especially you mentioned earlier, like hospitality has like a high turnover rate. It's crazy. The turnover rate is crazy.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. And that's just one layer of hospitality. Like we're not even talking about just like all the other things that go down in the hospitality industry. That's for another show. But you know, being especially being a woman in this space, which for a while has been male dominated, and then starting a business of it all. You know, what are those like one or two things that really just what those I can't talk today. Forgive me, y'all, but I can't. What are the two or three biggest things that you have learned about yourself in this journey of entrepreneurship? And what have your staff, you know, what have they taught you as well? Because I'm sure you've learned a lot from them. And you know, building a team it's so needed, but it isn't easy to do. And I know you know that.
So for me, building a team was the hardest thing for me, and I'm still learning how to do this. I had to, well, with the high turnover in hospitality and the fast money, people see something that they can do to make money. And since I'm small, they sometimes fail to realize that it's going to take not just showing up in order for this thing to grow. You have to be fully invested in being a bartender. And if I need you to serve plates at an event, or if I need you to post something on social media, or if I need you, it's just not that one role that you interview for. So I try to make it very clear that yes, we need a bartender, but in order to be a part of the team, you have to be willing and open to do other things if needed, because we're small. So there are going to be other roles that you'll still get paid for, but that you'll be willing to take on. So I had to definitely get that situated, because there are going to be times where I need people to do other things. But if you're not willing to do that or put in extra work for people to know about the brand, I really can't have you with the team, because then I'm gonna need more people in order just to do like small things.
That is so true. That is so true.
I've been very humbled as a leader.
if nothing else, right?
I've been very humbled. My team, they're great, and I finally have a few people who want to see the business grow. So that just makes me super excited and grateful. But I have to understand that I am a leader, and that it was a quote that Jerry Evans from Turning Natural said.
Yes, the homie.
I stand for her. One of the things she said one day was, what did she said something along the lines was, I decide, I don't suggest, something along the lines of that. And I think that stood really heavily with me, because I was really big on everyone suggesting several things instead of me deciding what was the things that we were going to be doing. So me being a leader had to happen in order for my team to go in the direction I wanted it to go. So I've been very humbled with, like, I don't know everything. I never thought I knew everything, but now it's like, you're a leader, so you need to know what's best for the business instead of like personally what's best for like people on smaller levels.
Exactly.
And
we
that's
have a lot of
very
people
hard.
and they're not leaders.
It's very hard to just like lead people who are very different in the same direction. But I'm learning, and I read a lot of books that help me learn, and I follow a lot of entrepreneurs who I like look up to see how they are leading in order for me to just lead well. But it's tough. A lot of my the girls on my team, they say they really appreciate how much time I put into them learning the craft. So what I do is monthly. Unfortunately, from COVID, we haven't been able to meet, but monthly I started scheduling distillery tours or winery tours or mixology lessons so everyone can learn the craft instead of
Mhm.
just them showing up at an event, making money and them just being on a team. I want them to get something out of it. So when they do decide to move on, they've become better hospitality professionals. And how can you suggest a cocktail if you don't even know how that spirit tastes? How
Wow.
can you suggest food a vendor should have at the event that goes along with the cocktail if you don't know how that cocktail tastes or how that beer tastes or how that wine tastes? Like, I just want them to be full-bodied hospitality professionals because they'll be more confident too. So they appreciate it, and I'm happy. I did my first feedback survey, and I was scared to open up the
It's always a scary thing, but you have to do it. And that's part of being a leader. And that's part of being an entrepreneur. Like you have to.
I had
Good for
to.
you.
So I did my first feedback survey, and I was so nervous because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a trash leader. They're gonna be, I'm horrible. I'm gonna have like 1 stars, and they gave me some honest feedback, but I did it, and I was so proud of myself. And I'm happy, and I'll continue to ask for feedback. But you just have to be fearless and be able to accept feedback and criticism, even from people who work under you, is important.
It is. I don't understand how people, and let me not say it like that because I don't want to say it in a judgmental way. I have even learned from myself and being in the hospitality world for the last 10 years, still kind of in it, but independently having my own business. But even with my Food Talks platform, I have to open myself up for criticism, constructive criticism, and feedback. There is no way that I can push forward with this purpose filled or purpose forward or mission forward agenda if I don't get feedback. And a lot of times, I'm sure people think it's just all just me. And for the most part, I mean, yeah, when I'm doing these interviews and stuff like that, I have two people to my right and to my left who I defer to when I need to make a move. And I do not make a move until I get that advice, until I get feedback, until we test things out, because I just can't dive in the water and think things are going to be okay. That's not the way you operate at
No, it's
all.
not. And to your other question about like being a woman entrepreneur and also being a woman in the hospitality industry, both of them are tough. On one hand, when I'm assertive and I know what I want and I know how I want my team to be and how an event to go, I come off as you're not friendly and all these other things. But when men do it, it's perfectly fine. Oh, he's a great leader. He's a boss. And but for me,
Mm-hmm.
like it's really important that I'm assertive because I want you to know that I want something this way and this is the standard. And then also in the hospitality industry, it's tough too because of the re-imaging of the mixologist. So
Mm.
Black mixologists started a Black mixology club. R.R. Bowie and Alexander, they started these clubs because they were the backbone of hospitality and the service industry. They were the Black people who were doing these roles. And once we started making money, that's when other groups wanted to be bartenders and servers and cooks and chefs and things like that. So I just try to understand and just take that connection with my ancestors, knowing that we started the mixology, we started the bartending, and that's how I walk into every room, knowing that I have some Black mixologists on my shoulder, like, you're supposed to be here, and it's okay for you to be here, and yes, you're a woman, and yes, you have a fro, yeah, and you should be here teaching people and crafting cocktails and being everything Black in this space because this
I
space
love it.
started Black.
I love it. I love it. And they sit on your shoulders sipping like, go on, girl, with your bad self,
Yes.
because we got you. We got you. I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Chrissy, I have to wrap up in a few moments, but I definitely, and I wanted to ask you this earlier, but we'll kind of close out with this. But I really want to know, because I know gardening was, just one of your favorite things that you said to do with your father. And like, are there any other, like, what is one of like your fondest memories of growing and gardening, and just, or something in particular that you just were so excited to grow at that time, or just so in awe? Because I'm in awe of agriculture. I'm in awe of a flower. Listen, I'm in awe of the garnishes on your website. Okay. I wanted to order the lime, the lemons. I wanted everything, the pears. I wanted it all. Okay.
So growing up, my dad, he grew up on a small farm before he moved to DC. So me growing up, and he also has a landscaping business. So he will always be in the yard. And he said, let's start a garden. And I said, okay, cool. I'm little excited to be around him. And he's showing me. So he says, okay, we're going to do cucumbers, tomatoes. And I remember planting them and going outside the next day. Like, where are they? And he said, and this is when I learned patience and nurturing. He's like, it's going to take time. We have to water them. We have to come out here and spend time with them. And that's how they'll grow. So I remember like just taking my time and realizing, okay, they have to grow. And one day coming home from school, and he's like, okay, I think we can pick some tomatoes and cucumbers so your mom can make us a salad. And that was the first day I looked at a garden like, wow, my backyard is so powerful. I'm about to eat what
Wow.
I just
You lit up.
grew. And my mind just exploded with the infinite possibilities that I can have when I am in control of something that I'm doing. So I loved gardening. And then, I went off to school. I did boarding school and for high school and then college. So I wasn't able to continue to be in the yard and in the ground like I wanted to. But I'm glad during this quarantine, I'm back to gardening now. And him and I FaceTime, and he looks at all of them and he tells me, so it's great.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
great. Like he calls me every night. I hope you are covering up. We're going to have a cold front tonight. So it's great to be able to get back into the soil. And it's also great for me and my dad to have something else that we connect on again in my adult life. So it's like a full circle moment right now. It's great.
That
It's
is
great.
so beautiful. Oh my gosh, that touched my heart. That touched my heart. I love that. Oh, such a great moment to conclude on. I love it. I love it. I love it. Chrissy, I can talk to you for many more moments. I can. I know I feel that way with a lot of my guests, honestly. Like y'all are just truly amazing and so inspiring. And I have so much to learn from you. When I see you doing your field trips with your staff, I'm like, ooh, I want to go. Like, ooh, I want to be there. Like, please. Like, I literally, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to DM her, but I really want to say, girl, just let me know about the next field trip. But anyway, I love what you're doing. And you know that I've told you that I
Thank you
absolutely
so much.
love what you're doing.
And
I
the first
love it.
day I met, like, it was just so much energy. I'm so happy we
Mhm.
hugged. It was very kinetic. You're
It
amazing.
was.
You're amazing.
It really was. It really was. Okay. So Chrissy, where can folks find you at on the gram, social media, website? Let them know.
So you can find me at Charismatic Creations on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Our website is charismaticcreationsevents.com. Come on our website. I know we're in COVID right now, so you can't plan an event, but when outside opens up, so will your homes for house parties and your weddings. So please hire us. We do the DMV area, but we also travel. I can't wait to connect with everyone. So yes, Charismatic Creations, not Charaz. So there's no RA in there. It's Charismatic Creations.
That's awesome. Well, you know what my birthday wish was. I told you in
Yes.
DM. All right, I
Oh, we
told you what
can
I
do
wanted to do,
it.
what my plans were, and I'm hoping COVID still doesn't mess that up. But we're still gonna make that happen. We're still gonna make that
I
happen.
can't wait.
Okay, Chrissy. Before we conclude for real, I just have a few rapid fire questions for you. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm so ready. Okay.
Okay, cool. What is your favorite veggie?
Corn.
Corn. That's nobody's ever said corn.
I love
Nobody's
corn.
ever
I've
said
loved
corn.
corn. I love corn since forever. Like,
Gosh.
it's amazing.
And that sweet corn,
Yes,
child, I be eating that thing like a damn horse, okay? For real.
I love it. I love corn.
Favorite fruit?
Apple.
Apple. Nobody's ever said apple either.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
This one I think is going to be tough for you. All right. Sweet, spicy, sour, salty, or bitter?
I would say sweet.
Okay. One action step anyone can take right now to support a small business like yours.
Purchase online.
Hello.
Hey.
You heard her. Purchase online. Chrissy, it has been a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I look up to you and what you do. It brings me so much joy just to go on your page and just to see you just keep at it. And I have no doubt, that you will continue to flourish, and you and your staff. And I look forward to buying more cocktail mixes, garnishes, so I can pretend like I'm doing the damn thing over here. Pretend.
No, you are. No, you're a star tender. You are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for listening, and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. We are here live on Full Service Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m., where you can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow me at Food Talks in Color on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Are you an edible activist? Sure you are. Come join me on the show. I would love to feature you. Just shoot me a DM on the gram. Peace and blessings all. And remember, there is no culture without agriculture.